Hello. Today we will discuss a new topic in physics. Static electricity or frictional electricity. So most of us have done a small experiment in our childhood. That is passing a plastic comb through the dry hair and allowing this plastic comb to attract small pieces of paper. അതുപോലെ ഒരു ബലൂൺ ഡ്രൈ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഹെയറിൻ്റെ മുകളിൽ റബ്ബ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമുക്കൊരു ക്യാനിനെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു അലൂമിനിയത്തിൻ്റെ ബോട്ടിലിനെ നമുക്ക് മൂവ് ചെയ്യിക്കാൻ പറ്റും. ഐ വിൽ ഷോ യു എ വീഡിയോ. So in this video you have seen that the scan is being moved due to a balloon. So when you rub this balloon against dry hair, some charges will be deposited over this balloon, and this because of the force of that charges that can is moving. വേറൊരു എക്സാമ്പിൾ കൂടെ കാണിച്ചു തരാം. In this example, glass rod is rubbed against silk. So glass rod is getting a positive charge and silk is getting a negative charge. Here ebonite rod is rubbed against a flannel, and as a result ebonite rod is getting a negative charge and flannel is getting a positive charge. Then using this glass or ebonite rod, again you can piece a small piece of paper, okay, or likewise as we have just seen, you can move an aluminum can using this glass rod or ebonite rod. So why this happens? So when you rub a glass rod against silk, electrons are being taken away from the glass rod, and those electrons will be deposited on this silk. So since silk is getting electrons, it is getting a negative charge, and the glass is losing electrons, so that is why it is getting a positive charge. Similarly, in the case of ebonite and flannel, electrons will be removed from flannel and these will be deposited in the ebonite rod. Since flannel is losing electrons, its charge is positive, and ebonite is getting electrons, so its charge is negative. So why these electrons are being taken away from the glass rod? Because when you rub glass rod against silk, electrons of the outermost shell will be torn off due to the friction between glass and silk, and those electrons are deposited on the silk. Since both glass and silk are insulators, these electrons cannot flow, they will be just deposited. ഈ രീതിയിൽ നിക്ഷേപിക്കപ്പെടുന്ന ചാർജുകൾ സൃഷ്ടിക്കുന്ന കറണ്ടാണ് സ്റ്റാറ്റിക് ഇലക്ട്രിസിറ്റി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. എബണൈറ്റ് ആയാലും ഗ്ലാസ് ആയാലും സിൽക്ക് ആണെങ്കിലും ഫ്ലാനൽ ആണെങ്കിലും എല്ലാം ഇൻസുലേറ്റേഴ്സ് ആണ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ ഡെപ്പോസിറ്റ് ചെയ്യപ്പെടുന്ന ചാർജിന് ഒരിക്കലും ഒഴുകാൻ കഴിയില്ല. അതുകൊണ്ട് അതിനെ സ്റ്റാറ്റിക് ചാർജസ് എന്നും ഈ കറണ്ടിനെ സ്റ്റാറ്റിക് ഇലക്ട്രിസിറ്റി എന്നും വിളിക്കുന്നത്. അതോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് നേടുന്നത് കൊണ്ട് സിൽക്കിന് അത്രയും ഇലക്ട്രോൺസിൻ്റെ മാസും കൂടെ കിട്ടുകയും അതുപോലെ ഗ്ലാസ് റോഡിന് ഇലക്ട്രോൺസ് നഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നത് കൊണ്ട് ഗ്ലാസ് റോഡിന് അത്രയും ഇലക്ട്രോൺസിൻ്റെ മാസ് കുറയുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നു. In the case of ebonite and flannel again, since ebonite is getting electrons, the mass of this ebonite rod will be slightly increased and flannel will lose that much mass. But practically it will not change the mass of this ebonite rod or flannel. Why? Because the mass of electron is of the order of 10 raised to minus 31 കിലോഗ്രാം. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ അത്രയും ചെറിയ മാസ് ആയതുകൊണ്ട് പ്രാക്ടിക്കലി എബണൈറ്റ് റോഡിൻ്റെ ഫ്ലാനലിൻ്റെ മാസ് മാറുന്നത് നമുക്ക് അറിയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ബട്ട് തിയറിറ്റിക്കലി ദ മാസ് ഓഫ് എബണൈറ്റ് ഓർ ഫ്ലാനൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഗ്ലാസ് റോഡ് ഓർ സിൽക്ക് വിൽ ബി ചേഞ്ചിങ് ഡ്യൂ ടു ദി സ്റ്റാറ്റിക് ഇലക്ട്രിസിറ്റി. Historically, it was the Greek who first found that there are some materials that can show this kind of attractive property when they are rubbed against some other materials. എന്നാൽ പിന്നീട് വില്യം ഗിൽബർട്ട് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ബ്രിട്ടീഷ് രാജ്ഞിയുടെ കൊട്ടാരത്തിലെ ഒരു ഡോക്ടറാണ് ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള വസ്തുക്കളെക്കുറിച്ച് ശാസ്ത്രീയമായി പഠിച്ചത്. ആൻഡ് വില്യം ഗിൽബർട്ട് ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ്ഡ് ദ വേർഡ് ഇലക്ട്രിക്ക for the substances showing the static charge. അപ്പോൾ ഇലക്ട്രിക്ക എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു വേർഡ് ഈ രീതിയിൽ സ്റ്റാറ്റിക് ചാർജുകൾ ഉള്ള വസ്തുക്കൾക്ക് സമ്മാനിച്ചത് വില്യം ഗിൽബർട്ട് ആയിരുന്നു. ഈ ഇലക്ട്രിക്ക എന്ന വാക്കിൻ്റെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇലക്ട്രിസിറ്റി, ഇലക്ട്രിക് ഫോഴ്സ് എന്നീ വാക്കുകളുടെ എല്ലാം ഉത്ഭവം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഗ്രീക്ക് വേർഡായ ആംബറിൻ്റെ ഇലക്ട്രോൺ എന്ന വാക്കിൽ നിന്നാണ്. ELEKTRON എന്ന് പറയുന്ന വാക്കിൽ നിന്നാണ് ഇലക്ട്രിസിറ്റി, ഇലക്ട്രോൺ, അതുപോലെ ഇലക്ട്രിക് ഫോഴ്സ് തുടങ്ങിയ എല്ലാ വാക്കുകളുടെയും ഉത്ഭവം. സോ വാട്ട് ഈസ് ചാർജ്? ഇലക്ട്രിക് ചാർജ് ഈസ് ആൻ ഇൻട്രിൻസിക് പ്രോപ്പർട്ടി ഓഫ് elementary particles like protons and electrons so that they exert strong electric force between them. So this electric charge is an inherent property of the protons and electrons so that they can exert electric force between them. And the unit of electric charge is coulomb, and the magnitude of this charge is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. Actually this could be plus or minus. Plus in the case of positive charge, minus in the case of negative charge. So how the charges or how the bodies get some charges or how charges can be deposited on the surface of the bodies? There are primarily two methods. One is induction and other one is conduction. First I will show you the method of induction. Suppose there is a metal sphere which is electrically neutral, in the sense in any material the number of positive and number of negative charges will be equal, so the net charge will be 0. And you are bringing a negatively charged ebonite rod close to this metal sphere, and you can see that positive and negative charges are separated to two ends of this metal sphere. Positive charges are being attracted towards this negatively charged ebonite rods, and these negative charges are being repelled by the same ebonite rod. In the next stage you are attaching a grounding wire to this metal sphere so that all the electrons will be leaked to the earth. In the next stage you remove that grounding wire and this ebonite rod, that is section C in the picture C, and you can see that what is remaining is only positive charge, and all those positive charges are uniformly spread over the metal sphere. Now in the case of conduction or charging by contact, the same ebonite rod is kept in touch with the metal sphere so that all the negative charges will be sent to the metal sphere which was electrically neutral in the beginning, and now you can see that those negative charges are spread uniformly over this metal sphere. So this is the method of conduction or by contact. You can see that this ebonite rod is in contact with the metal sphere. Now when you compare these two methods, that is charging by induction and charging by conduction or charging by contact, you can see that in the method of induction this ebonite rod is very close to the metal sphere, but by the method of conduction or by contact that rod is in touch with the metal sphere. That is one difference. In the second case, you can see the charge that the body is getting is just opposite to that of this ebonite rod. The ebonite rod is negatively charged, but the sphere is having a positive charge. But in the method of conduction, the charge of the ebonite rod is negative, and here the charge of the sphere is also negative. So these are the two differences when you compare charging by conduction and induction. Now let us see the properties of these charges. These are the important properties of the charges. The first one, there exist only two types of charges, positive and negative. Then like charges repel and unlike charges attract each other. That means ഒരേ തരത്തിലുള്ള ചാർജുകൾ പോസിറ്റീവും പോസിറ്റീവും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നെഗറ്റീവും നെഗറ്റീവും ദേ വിൽ റിപ്പൽ. അൺലൈക്ക് ചാർജസ് ഒരെണ്ണം പോസിറ്റീവും മറ്റത് നെഗറ്റീവും അവ പരസ്പരം അട്രാക്ട് ചെയ്യും. ദെൻ ചാർജ് ഈസ് എ സ്കേലർ ക്വാണ്ടിറ്റി. യു നോ വാട്ട് ഈസ് ദ ഡിഫറൻസ് ബിറ്റ്വീൻ സ്കേലേഴ്സ് ആൻഡ് വെക്ടേഴ്സ്. സോ ദർ ഈസ് നോ ഡയറക്ഷൻ ദാറ്റ് ക്യാൻ ബി അസൈൻ ടു എ ചാർജ്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വൈ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് എ സ്കേലർ ക്വാണ്ടിറ്റി. Then charge is additive in nature, and this is very important. Suppose that there are three charges on a body like +2, +5 and -3 coulombs. So what is the net charge of this body? You simply add, that is +2 +5 -3 is equal to +4. So +4 coulomb is the net charge of this body. That is the meaning of additive property. Then charge is quantized. This quantization principle is very important for these charges. It says electric charge exists only in the discrete packets rather than in continuous amount. That is, the magnitude of charge is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So if there is one charge, this is the value of the total charge. Then it can be 1e, 2e, 3e, etc. That is, it will never have a value which is 1.5 e or 2.5 e. It is always an integral multiple of fundamental electronic charge, which is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 കൂളത്തിൻ്റെ ഗുണിതങ്ങളായിട്ട് മാത്രമേ ഒരു ബോഡിയിൽ ചാർജ് ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കുകയുള്ളൂ. അല്ലാതെ 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 ഈ രീതിയിലുള്ള വാല്യൂസ് ഒന്നും ഒരിക്കലും ഒരു വസ്തുവിൻ്റെ ചാർജായിട്ട് ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കുന്നതല്ല. ആൻഡ് ഫൈനലി ചാർജ് ഈസ് കൺസേർവ്ഡ്. That is, the algebraic sum of the positive and negative charges will be a constant. So in the previous example we have seen a glass rod is rubbed with silk. So if there are +3 charges on the glass rod, then there will be -3 charges on the silk, so that the total number of charges will never change, or the total charge of the system will remain a constant. And also the value of q will not vary with the velocity. Value of q does not vary with the velocity എന്ന് പറയാനുള്ള കാരണം മറ്റൊന്നുമല്ല, റിലേറ്റിവിസ്റ്റിക് വെലോസിറ്റിയിൽ അഥവാ ഒരു വസ്തുവിൻ്റെ വേഗത പ്രകാശത്തോട് അടുക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് അതിൻ്റെ മാസിനും ലെങ്ത്തിനും എല്ലാം മാറ്റം വരാറുണ്ട്. അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള റിലേറ്റിവിസ്റ്റിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള എഫക്ട്സ് ഒന്നും ഈ ക്യൂ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ചാർജിൻ്റെ വിലയിൽ വരുന്നതല്ല. Now all of you know that everything in physics is governed by some laws. So in the case of these charges also, the properties of these charges will be governed by some law, and that law is called Coulomb's law. First, let me define this Coulomb's law. The electrostatic force of interaction, that is electrostatic force of attraction or repulsion between two point charges, is directly proportional to the product of the charges, inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them, and acts along the line joining the two charges. So if you remember the gravitational force, this is very similar to that. So the force is the product of the force is directly proportional to the product of the charges, and also it is inversely proportional. That means 1 by r square. The relation is F is proportional to 1 by r square. Here you can see two charges, one is Q1, other one is Q2. So the force between Q1 and Q2 is directly proportional to product of Q1 and Q2. That means if the value of Q2 increases, then the force will increase, or if the value of Q1 increases, then again the force will increase. Then it is inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. R is the distance between Q1 and Q2. So the force between Q1 and Q2 is inversely proportional to square of the distance. That means if R increases, then F will decrease. Okay. When R increases, or when the distance between the two charges increases, the force between them will decrease. And comparing these two, you can write F is proportional to Q1 Q2 by R square, and this proportionality can be converted to equality by multiplying with a constant K. So this is one technique that we usually use in physics, and here this K is called Coulomb constant or electrostatic force constant, and the value of K is found to be 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0, where epsilon 0 is the permittivity of free space. So in the case of two charges, the force between them will be influenced by the value of K, and in this constant K, this epsilon 0 is due to the medium between the two charges, and this equation is valid for a medium which is vacuum. That means for vacuum, F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 into Q1 Q2 by R square. So how this equation changes in the case of a medium, or a medium other than vacuum or air? So for that case, the value of the constant K is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon. It was epsilon 0 previously, now it is only 1 by 4 pi epsilon. So what is epsilon? Epsilon is equal to, you can see, this is a product of epsilon r into epsilon 0, or epsilon 0 into epsilon r will give what? Epsilon. So the actual equation is 1 by 4 pi epsilon, such that epsilon can be replaced with epsilon 0 into epsilon r, where epsilon is called absolute permittivity of the medium, dielectric medium. Dielectric means it is not a conductor. This is an insulating medium. A dielectric is something that will allow the electric field to pass through without conducting. So we will come to that electric field and all those things later. So presently you can see that there are two equations now possible, that is 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 Q1 Q2 by R square, and 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 epsilon R into Q1 Q2 by R square. But if you take a close look at this equation, you can see that these two equations are actually same. For air or vacuum, the value of epsilon r will be 1. For air and vacuum, the value of epsilon r is equal to 1. So when epsilon r is equal to 1, this term will become 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0. So for vacuum or air, we take the value of epsilon r is equal to 1. In that case, this equation will reduce to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 Q1 Q2 by R square. and the value of epsilon 0 is 8.85 10 per minus 12 coulomb square per Newton per meter square. And when you substitute for this, you can see the value is equal to 9 into 10 raised to 9 Newton meter square per coulomb square, and this value you can use for numerical problems. But you know, force is a vector. So if this LHS is a vector, then this RHS should also be a vector. So how to represent or how to express this Coulomb's law in vector form? To express the Coulomb's law in vector form, we consider two charges plus q and minus q, or plus q1 and minus q2. The distance between them is r. Then force on charge q1 due to q2, there will be an attractive force between these two, that is q1 will be attracted by q2 and q2 will be attracted by q1. So there is a force on q1 due to q2 which is F12. Then there is an attractive force on q2 due to q1 which is F21. So F12 can be written as 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q1 q2 by r square. But here we have used the vector form of the force. So to make this term a vector, you multiply this quantity with a unit vector. Here r12 cap represent a unit vector, and whenever you multiply a quantity with a unit vector, its magnitude will not change, but it will get a direction. So r12 is the unit vector multiplied to give this quantity a direction, and that direction is from q1 to q2. Then what is F21? F21 is again 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q1 q2 by r square, but it is a vector form. So to make this quantity a vector, you multiply this with a unit vector which is r21. So what is r12 and r21? R12 is a unit vector multiplied with the F12, and r12 you will measure from q1 to q2. Suppose that you are standing at q1 and you want to find the distance between q1 to q2. So what will you do? You will start the measurement from q1 to q2, that is r12. Then in the case of F21, it is a force on charge q2. So now you are here, that is you are at q2. Now you want to measure the distance from q2 to q1. So you will start the measurement from q2 and end at q1. So your direction is from q2 to q1, that is why it is r21. Now if you look at r12 and r21, you can see that the magnitude, right, the magnitude will be same, but the directions are opposite. R12 is from left to right, but R21 is from right to left. That is R12 will be equal to minus R21. R12 is equal to minus R21. So you can replace this R12 with the minus R21 and you will get what? A simplification will give F12 is equal to minus F21. So that is the end of the class today. We will learn more about this static charges and their properties in the coming classes. Thank you for watching.